So we're getting to more. Yeah. We're always getting
Chi Adonai Mogen Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Le'olam Vaed. Chi Adonai Mogen Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Le'olam Vaed. Chi Adonai Mogen Rabbeinu HaMashiach Le'olam Vaed. Tonight, sponsored for this year, Rabbi Shai Miara from Fort Lauderdale.
Thank you.
Baruch Hashem Yishmereu. Maybe we should give him lots of brachas and gashmis and ruchnias. Just like in Pashas Truma, where the Rebbe says the message is that every Jew should be rich. Not just beruchnias, but begashmias too. So that should be, B'ezrat Hashem, his blessing with all of us. So, the Rebbe opens up by saying, we open up with a blessing, especially when we are coming into Chodesh Adar. We have the Tzivui and the Din, Shenichnas Adar Marbi B'Simcha, and this month, Bari Mazle, the Israel, the luck, the fortune of the Jews is healthy. So it's obviously understood that Jewish people in the month of Adar, just like every month, but especially in the month of Adar, we get special brachas. Furthermore, the Gemara says, just like when Av comes in, you reduce in Simcha, so too when Adar comes in, you increase in Simcha. And therefore, any Jew who has judgment, has a court case to take up with a non-Jew, should take it up in Adar. That's when he will be most likely, most definitely successful. Allah said. So it happened to me last year. I had a ticket, traffic ticket. There was no way Al Piteva that I would actually win that ticket, and they dismissed it, just dismissed it, without even looking at the ticket. They just dismissed it. It was in Chodesh Adar. It's a red light camera. There's no way you could actually escape a red light camera. If you get it, and that's it. Guys, you have tomatoes and cucumbers. If you want there, you can cut them and use them. So, the Rebbe says, but the question is, if it says that when Av comes in and you reduce in Simcha, but when Adar comes in and you increase in Simcha, that reduces the Simcha in Adar because you put them in the same sentence. When Av comes in, you reduce in Simcha, and when Adar comes in, you increase. But if it's in the same sentence, it seems to imply that it reduces the Simcha of Adar. So the Rebbe says, no. It's the opposite. That the reason that Av comes in the same sentence together with Adar, that when Av comes in, you reduce, but when Adar comes in, you increase, and they both come in the same sentence, it's because Adar takes the month of Av and turns over all the bad things that could cause to reduce the Simcha, and turns them over from reducing Simcha to increasing in Simcha. In other words, he turns them over totally upside down. Whatever was in Av that could reduce the Simcha of a Jew, now Adar comes in, and with the power of Adar, he takes it and turns over all the things that could actually make, God forbid, reduce the Simcha of a Jew, and instead, Adar increase the Simcha of Av. So therefore, Pi Halacha, in other words, by us, that we know that the Rebbe is understanding this, because this is really, guys, this is not found anywhere. Anywhere you'd go, you don't see anyone says this. Just the Rebbe. And when Av comes in, we actually increase in Simcha because of this. And we have all the laws of mourning and everything. So the answer is that when Av comes in and you increase in Simcha, and somebody will ask, are you kidding? This is like the month of destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. How could you increase in Simcha? So you say, the Rebbe says in the Sikha, specifically in this point, in this Sikha right here, that Adar already took all the inyanim of Av and turn them over into Simcha.
There's another one that Kut Sichos that Rebbe explains how it's not the whole thing of the same thing.
So now, in other words, it's only in Chabad, it's only in Lubavitch. There's no such a thing anywhere else. You'll not find it anywhere. So it comes out, there's no month in the year that, God forbid, at least in Chabad, we are not joyous. At any rate, the Rebbe goes on to say, so therefore, the Simcha in Adar is double and triple, and quadruple, because not only does it have its own Simcha, the Simcha from Adar, but it also has the Simcha of Av, all the things that he took from Av and turned them over into a big Simcha. And the Rebbe says, therefore, it increases in the bracha until a major bracha. Mary Shimon, where are you? I was going to give you the book. You were going to give me the first two paragraphs. So the Rebbe says, it increases in the Simcha and increases also in the brachas, up to the bracha, the main bracha that we will get the Geulah very, very, very soon. And the Rebbe says, and then for sure, it's called, we know that Adar is Bari Mazle, the luck, the fortune of the Jews is Bari, is healthy, meaning it's healthy and it's good and it's happy. And the fortune of every Jew increases that month. The beginning of Adar starts in a few years, starts during the Shabbos of Truma. Rebbe says, as we know, that all the times, all the holidays, all the times of the year, whatever parsha, whatever portion of the Torah they fall on, they must have a connection to that portion. Therefore, what is the connection of Chodesh Adar, the beginning of Chodesh Adar, to the parsha of Truma? And since we are, and this is the same time as when the Rebbe said the Sikha, Rosh Chodesh of Adar was Tuesday and Wednesday. The Rebbe said also we have to understand the connection to Tuesday and Wednesday of this year as well. That's when Rosh Chodesh was this year. We just finished Rosh Chodesh tonight. So Rebbe says we'll understand the connection. We'll understand the answer to those questions. What is the connection of Parshat Truma to Chodesh Adar, where the fortune of the Jew increases and the Simcha increases? What does that have to do with Parshat Truma? So the Rebbe says we'll understand this through the parsha. In the beginning of the parsha, it says Jews have to contribute to the Mishkan, to the building of the Mishkan. Zav, Kesef, and Nechoshes. And we know that, meaning, let's say first gold, then silver, then copper. Everything is precise in the Torah. Why? The Rebbe says this is a famous question. Why is the Torah starting with gold? To contribute gold. We know that more Jews have silver, and more Jews than that have copper. Why start with gold? Much less Yidden have gold. More have silver, and more than that have copper. You have to start from light to go to heavy. And besides light to heavy, this is what Jews had more. They had more copper, and then less silver, and less gold. As we find by the other things that they contributed to the Mishkan. It says that they contributed Cheles, V'argaman, V'tolah Shani, V'shesh V'yizim, V'eris Elim, V'adamim, V'eris Chashim. These are different things. There's a machlokes whether it was 13 or 15 items that they contributed to the Mishkan. And all of them, they go in the list. There's a whole list of them. And then the list describes what they had more of, and then what they had less. And the last on the list is Avnei Shoyam. That only the leaders of the tribes were able to bring Avnei Shoyam because only they had them. So we see...
And according to one explanation, it means the clouds.
The clouds, yeah. So we see that whatever they had less was listed last. Whatever they had more was listed first. Why does the Torah say, when you contribute, the Torah commands the Yidden to contribute to the Mishkan, you contribute gold first. Why is it first? We didn't have so much gold. Especially we know that Jews, they took everything from the Egyptians. On the sea, by the sea, and also from Egypt itself, in Makas Choshech. If you remember, they told them where it was. So they robbed the Egyptians out when they were in Egypt. In other words, willingly, they gave them everything. And on the sea as well. But Egyptians had less gold than silver and copper. They had less. They had more silver and they had more of that copper, but not as much gold. So whatever the Jews took, that's what they had. They had less gold, more silver, and more copper than that. So the Rebbe says that therefore copper should have been listed first, silver second, and gold third. but it's listed first. Why is it first?
Also, gold wasn't as needed in the Mishkan.
Wasn't as needed, right? When we see Lepoyal, in actuality, when it came down to building down the Mishkan, building up the Mishkan, they actually gave a lot less gold and much more silver and copper. The Rebbe says the explanation to this is, first of all, we have to understand what the Mishkan is about. The Rebbe says it's very interesting. The command to build the Mishkan and to contribute to the Mishkan was upon each and every Jew. The Rambam says each and every Jew, each woman, every man, and every child even had to contribute to the Mishkan and to the building of it. The Rebbe says the Mishkan started something that was never there. It was a novelty, a milestone in history, that Hashem could actually dwell in a physical house on earth, in this world. Like Shlomo HaMelech says, Shema Shemayim lo yichal kelucha v'af habayit hazeh, that the heavens of the heavens, in other words, the holiest places in heavens, the upper worlds, cannot contain you. They only contain a ray, a shine of Hashem. The Malach Kolami. It's just a glimpse. It's not the glory of the king. It's not the king himself. But this house, the Mishkan, will actually contain Hashem himself. It's incredible. That's the biggest chiddush. And the Rebbe says, therefore, this is what the Mishkan is. This is a novelty that never existed before in history. That you can actually build a little house here, a tabernacle, and in it will reside Hashem in His fullest glory. So the Rebbe says, how could this be possible? And that's what the novelty of the Mishkan was. And therefore, you would think, in order to build a Mishkan, for such a purpose, you need the elite of the people of the highest reputation, of the highest novelty, people of higher esteem, like real big Torah scholars like Moshe Rabbeinu and stuff like that. Rambam says no. The Torah says no. Each person was responsible to build the Mishkan. Men, women, and children. How could such simple people like us go ahead and build a Mishkan, a little house which contains residence of Hashem himself? And the reason is, and what happened with Matan Torah is, the Matan Torah broke the partition between this world and the upper world. Now, Hashem could actually come and we could actually sanctify this world. This was a barrier that existed before Matan Torah. After Matan Torah, a Jew became a different reality. He became a different human being, completely. He became one with Hashem. Before Matan Torah, the Jew was not able to connect to Hashem on the same level. Was not one with Hashem. He was a son of God, but he was not one with God. He was not connected to God on that level. After Matan Torah, after this barrier was taken away, the Jew now became totally one with Hashem. Hashem and the Jew is one thing after Matan Torah. And therefore, the Rambam says that this is Matan Torah va'elach mitziusu shekol echad v'echad miYisrael yikazu shemibli habet al chitzoniyusoi, that you do not look at the external shell of the Jew. Every Jew, whoever he is, wherever he may be, the Rambam says he has nekudas hayadus, he has the pintel yid. Alpha pishachata Yisrael, who even though he sinned, God forbid, he's still Israel, still a Jew. Which means what? So what does that mean that he's still a Jew? What does that mean? The Rambam says, even though he sinned, he's still a Jew. Still a Jew means that he's connected, he's one with God regardless. Regardless of the fact that he sinned, regardless of the fact that he, on the outside, he sinned, he did something wrong, he went against God, but really, internally, and essentially, he's one, he's bonded with God, and that connection can never be severed. That connection the Jew has with Hashem can never be severed under any circumstance whatsoever. That's what the Rambam says, Israel, that's why he's still a Jew, still connected, still bonded with Hashem in an unsevered bond. There can never be, this bond with him, between Hashem and the Jew, can never be severed. Therefore the Rambam says, even though if you have a Jew who does not learn Torah Lishma, Le'olam ilmod Adam Torah shelo Lishma. A person wants to learn Torah and he's not learning Shema, he should learn, he should continue learning, because mitoch shelo Lishma yav Lishma, because if not, even though he's not learning the Shema, he will come to learn for the right purpose. He will come to learn for Hashem, for the sake of Hashem. He's now learning for ulterior motives, he's learning for different reasons, whatever the reasons are that he's learning for. It's not for Hashem, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. eventually, because he's Jewish, because he's essentially bonded with Hashem, because his connection to Hashem is essential, can never be severed. Therefore, even if he's not learning for the right purpose right now, he will come to learn for the right purpose, because he's totally one with Hashem. This is a different human being, this is a different reality, a different entity, completely different. And therefore, the Rebbe says, every Jew, now we understand why every Jew was commanded to build a Mishkan. It's only with the power of the Jew, because he has a neshama. The neshama is part of Hashem himself, mamash. And the Jew and Hashem is one thing. So therefore, even though on the outside, he's not like Moshe Rabbeinu, he's not like a yeshiva bachar, he's not a Torah scholar. But because of the fact that he's Jewish, and he contains a part of Hashem, he's one with Hashem. It's only within his power to build the Mishkan down here. Every Jew is equal in that matter. Every Jew is equal on that level. Every Jew is one with Hashem, every Jew is part of Hashem. Therefore, only Jews have the power to build the Mishkan to Hashem. The Rebbe says like this. I mean, very bluntly, very simply. You would think it had to be a Torah scholar, Moshe Rabbeinu, to build a Mishkan. No, every Jew is even. Every Jew is equal to Moshe Rabbeinu in that respect. Whether he's a little kid or he's Moshe Rabbeinu, their connection to Hashem is equal. They're one with Hashem. And therefore, now we understand why gold was commanded to be the first contribution. Gold was not here to say what was contributed first to the Mishkan or not. It was not about what you're contributing. It's about describing the level of the Jew. Hashem commanded to contribute gold in order to show that the Jew is gold. The Jew is on the level of gold. The Jew is the first, most precious thing. Is Ashir, the Rebbe says, is rich in essence. In other words, just like we are free people, even if we, God forbid, have to work for someone, and sometimes we have to do certain works that are not befitting a Jew, like, I don't know, waiting on the table. Sometimes you go to a restaurant, you see some Jewish waiters, or you see some. But essentially, we are free people. We are the only people that are really essentially free.
What's wrong with being a waiter?
Huh?
What's wrong with being a waiter?
No. We're getting jobs, certain jobs that are not befitting a king, because the Rambam, like the Halacha says, the Rebbe says, Ben Melech is a Melech, he's a king. Not so. Would not really give you the true appreciation and description of who you are and what level you're holding on, who you really are. You may think, well, this is a simple guy. The Rebbe says, it's a Ben Melech and it's a Melech. It's really a king. But because we are essentially free people, we are free be'etzem. In other words, in essence, we are free people. Once we left Egypt, when we got the Torah, we are free people in essence. We can never really be subjugated or subdued to anyone, even though we may look like externally, but we are the only people on earth that are really free in essence. So too, the Rebbe says, we are also rich in essence. Because, as the Torah says, you have to contribute gold. What is gold? Gold is the most precious thing. And Hashem is saying to the Jew, listen, you are on the level of gold. As the Rebbe will continue to say, this is not only referring to spiritual gold, but physical gold as well. But then the Rebbe goes on to say, שכן מציאוסו של יהודי לאחר מתן תורה היא כזו, שאפילו ביוסו למטה בגשמיוס העולם, שבו זקוקים בבניית המקדש, המשכן, גם לכסף ונחש זכותו וכמוס יצר מזהב, אזי לכל הראש הוא עשיר בעצם. Really, a Jew is rich in essence. Ben Melech, he's the son of the king. The Eser Mizu Melech Atzmo, he's really the king himself. Shemitziusu he ve'elav shayach hadavar chiyakar, because his reality, his being, his whole being is really his gold. Rashi Tevis, and the gold in Hebrew, the acronym Zahad Noten Vari, the one who gives, the donor, the donor, the one who's giving over here, is Vari Zeh Hanoisen Vari. That's the acronym of Zahav. The one who's giving is healthy. The Rebbe will go on to explain what healthy means. Yesera Mizut. נויסף לכך שהקדמת הזהב מבטאת מעלתו וחשיבותו של יהודי בכלל, הרי זה נוגע במיוחד לעניין ועשו למקדש שכנתי בסויכם גופה, שכן הכוח לפעול ועשו למקדש שכנתי בסויכם בא לידי יהודי. Therefore, not only is he rich in essence, not only is he holding on the level of gold in the eyes of Hashem, he's gold, he's the most precious thing there is. He's rich in Ruchnius, he's rich in Gashmius. He's the highest, he's the most sublime thing that there is in reality. That's what the Jew is after Matan Torah. Therefore the Rebbe says, even though he's here on earth, with all the rest of the people, all the rest of the nations, he's still holding on that level, even though on the outside it doesn't seem to be this way, because he's mixing up with the rest of the world. The Rebbe says, and therefore, only him, and only a Jew, whatever Jew it is now, we're not talking about a religious Jew who's holding now, he's doing Torah mitzvahs, totally a Jew who's not Mekayim Torah mitzvahs leis ata for now. is holding at that level. In that respect, every Jew is equal, no matter what level he's holding it on Torah mitzvahs per se. When we're talking about contributing to the Mishkan and the manner in which the Yidden contributed to the Mishkan, so true. Copper has preface. Yidden had more copper than silver, and then less silver than gold, but obviously much less gold. But where we are talking about the Jew, therefore we have to enumerate gold first. And since the Jews were rich spiritually because they're Zahav, every Jew is Zahav, every Jew is gold, therefore the Rebbe says from this came down to being physical riches. The Jews are actually rich because every Jew left with 90 donkeys of gold and silver from Egypt, because all this resulted and emanate from their level in spirituality. Since they are the most important thing, the most precious thing, therefore it materialized in physical gold and silver as well. The Rebbe says that was the reason. Now we can understand why Shabbos Truma is connected to Chodesh Adar. Chodesh Adar, we said, always falls, not always, many years, falls on Parshas Truma, the beginning of it. So the Rebbe says, it says in the Gemara, Bari Mazli, Shel Yehudi, the fortune of the Jew is healthy.
Another.
In Adar. The Rebbe goes on to explain, what is Mazel now? How do you say Mazel? Fortune? Fortune. Luck. Fortune. I don't know.
It's a mazel Yisrael.
But everyone understands what Mazel is, right? Mazel.
What mazel?
Is there, so the Rebbe is asking the famous question, is there a Mazel to a Jew? Is a Jew really controlled by Mazalis? Escalations. The supernal escalations that are goyim are controlled by it. So now we're talking about different Mazel, right? We're talking about escalations, we're talking about the signs. You know the signs that, like the horoscope, where people look up your future and they see what's going to happen, whatever, according to your horoscope, according to your sign, and according to how the stars and all the upper escalations play. So then they can determine what your fortune, what your destiny will be in the next few, whatever. So the Rebbe says, is there a mazel in that respect? I'm talking about now as far as the escalations are concerned. Is there a mazel to the Yidden? So the Rebbe says like this. Other says, Bari Maizle, your mazel is healthy. I'm going to use the word mazel now because it's in different connotation a little bit. So does the Jew have mazel at all? So the Rebbe says, what does that mean, Bari Mazel, your mazel is healthy? Jews don't have mazel, because the Gemara says they don't have mazel, and then it says that Bari Mazel, but your mazel is healthy. What does that mean then? Is there or isn't there a mazel to a Jew? So the Rebbe says like this. Could be there's no mazel. The Gemara says there is no mazel to a Jew. But if, God forbid, or there is a mazel, but if something was destined to happen, and a Jew now comes and prays hard from the walls of his heart, and he's putting tzedakah, he could change his mazel, he could change his destiny, because he's not controlled by these mazalas, by these escalations, the stars and all the gazers and all that. The Rebbe says, maybe that's what it means when he says there's no mazel for a Jew. The Rebbe says, the truth is like this. There really is no mazel for a Jew. In other words, nature goes in its own course, that something may happen or may not happen, as is supposed to happen. But if a Jew comes over and he prays to Hashem and he puts tzedakah and he does tshuva, he changes the entire. That's not what a goy cannot do, under normal circumstances. That's another question I always had. I mean, we've seen goyim that prayed and changed their. I didn't understand it to myself. I had a question with that, kind of like for a long time. But I heard that. But the stories, I mean, of goyim that really prayed to Hashem, and Hashem. Maybe that's on there, but it's not a given. You know, for a Jew, it's given. For a Jew, if something is supposed to happen, God forbid, all should only happen good. He could change his luck. He should change his mazel with prayer. Prayer and tzedakah changes his mazel with Jew. So therefore, we see that the Jew does not have a mazel because he can change it.